And so that...
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask you, how was your social life in Japan?
Mm.
Because I know you embarked on that alone.
Yes.
So I guess you didn't know anyone in Japan. So how did you mingle? And I asked earlier about workmates. Did you have socials outside of work? Did you talk about other things?
So that's actually a mixed bag, in the sense that, to begin with, yes, it was true that I went to Japan alone. But during that time, when I entered into Toshiba, because it was a global recruit program, I had the opportunity to be friends with people from Singapore, from Taiwan, from Europe, from America, Thailand.
So different cultures, different types of people, different races.
Yes. And although we were few, I also was able to be with some other Filipinos who became my best friends as well, in our batch of accepted applicants for the role.
So this is same age group, same
Sort-
generation,
sort
close.
of, yeah,
like 5-year gap or close.
2-3 year gap.
Also quite close.
And with these people, for me, I was studying in Ateneo back then, and these friends of mine from the Philippines, they came from UP, Diliman. We had different courses, so of course we also had different jobs that were provided to us, but when we embarked on the training together, we experienced everything together. And so I think that it was thanks to that shared experience that I got to build a bond, a friendship with, of course, my fellow Filipinos and also my foreign community. And I think that's how my life of adjustment started out. Now, moving forward, of course, after the training is done and when you're in the actual workplace doing an actual job, things change because your schedules change. They can be working at this time and you'd be done working. So, of course, it was more difficult to get the chance to hang out and really socialize. So I think it moved on to the next question that you're probably asking. Were you able to socialize with Japanese despite the work, despite the overtime? And believe it or not, Japanese like to party as well.
Yeah, I've had experiences since I deal with a lot of Japanese executives also.
Right.
So yes, they do. They have that side. Like
Exactly.
in the work area, it's very rigid.
Yes.
But once they're out, they're more loose. They let it out, I guess, to distress.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. There's a very interesting concept as well in Japan. So we call the party as a nomikai. So nomi is from the word nomimas, which is to drink, and kai is party. So drinking party, literally. And so what happens here is that sometimes people go to nomikai, aside from socializing and getting closer to your boss in a more private sort of manner, there is again another concept called nomunication, which is again from the word nomu, which is to drink, and nication, which is communication, which is to speak. So I have some of my colleagues tell me before that, Ramon, RG, if you wanna get your boss's approval for something, you might as well try to ask your boss while you're drinking. Probably the approval phase might actually be quicker.
Yeah, that's an occurrence also in my field. Drinking really somewhat adds to the lubrication,
Yes.
in a way, social lubricant.
Yeah.
In a way where you're more loose, then it's not very structured in a way, then you're
Yes.
able to sort of relax and have
Exactly.
that dialogue.
Right. It smoothens things. No? And for me, I was able to really just enjoy getting to see that different side of them and seeing how they perform or how they operate outside of the business end.
Yeah, because I think that's healthy to have that personal touch.
Yes.
Because sometimes in this fast-paced world, it can get highly robotic in a way where it's just work, it's just pressure, it's just stress.
Yeah.
So I think we need that humanistic element now, even with the rise of technology and everything.
I agree.
We need that face-to-face personal touch where we interact as human beings.
It's very, I think it's a very valid point, Mike. And I think that for all of us here in the audience as well, this was really manifested during COVID, right?
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, we were just limited to phone calls, we were just limited to Skype calls or video calls. And I think that because the human element was taken out of that, honestly, it became really hard to work. So having that, now that we're done with COVID, now that we're back to normal, once more, I believe is such an amazing thing to have.
Mm. But going back to Japanese culture,
Yeah.
because me, I have this perception, like how the Japanese do things, they're very data-oriented,
Yes.
Objective,
Yes.
and things are planned out properly.
Yeah.
Have you experienced like sort of a more candid approach from the Japanese? Like in terms of business, like how I would approach things, sometimes it can
Yes.
be shotgun, sometimes
Yes.
you need that flexibility, because
Yes.
of course when you're dealing in the real world, you can't be too bureaucratic, you
Yes.
can't be too structured, because things change,
Right.
and you need to, take a punch once in a while and
Yes.
and roll with it. So is that accurate, my perception of how Japanese people work? And yeah, what was your experience?
That's a good point you raise. And honestly speaking, yes, there is a lot of emphasis on the data orientation, on trying to make things based on the facts.
Yeah.
But I think that it also depends on who is calling the shots, or who is your boss. in
Yeah, the
particular.
decision maker,
Right.
right? Boils down to who decides the final.
Exactly. And I've had bosses that have been very rigid or very strict in terms of what it is they want. So in terms of the flexibility, they're more one-sided in the sense that I want to do something like this. If it doesn't match my preferences, or if it doesn't match the company's preferences, then we're out. But I've also had the chance to work with other bosses who are more flexible, as you said, to sort of make a compromise and try to do it such that it's a win-win for both me and for the other party
So
as well.
varying styles still.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Because I think you need that flexibility. I think it's very critical.
I agree.
Also.
I agree. And I think that for me, having had the chance to go to different companies and see what different people's styles were, it sort of gave me that balance to make my own style of decision in my own work right now, to really try and see what method is best for what particular situation.
Yeah. Basically, I think you have to be open-minded, because I think you can't be too flexible, but you can't also be too rigid.
Yes.
You really need that. And
Exactly.
I think you need discernment. It requires vision. It requires something deeper in terms of skill set and ability.
I agree. I agree. And this is something that I always admire about you as well, Mike, because from an early age, you've already found that sort of vision. And every day with the work that you do, you really try to ensure that you have an open mind to really consider what your employees have to say, what the people around you have to say. And I think that makes you an amazing person.
Wow, thank you.